and welcome to my little corner of the internet, where I'm trying to learn about flowers and making videos, and you can sit back and enjoy the magic, and maybe learn a thing or two. I don't actually have a name for this series yet, so if you can think of something clever, please leave it down in the comments below. And by the way, my name is April, and I was born in the middle of winter. I love sunshine and watching things grow, so I thought it'd be fun to do some research and learn more about those things that grow. Not only flowers, but also the food stuff in my garden. If you ever want to know what's going on in my garden, I've got a series called What's Growing over on TikTok, where you can watch my garden come to life. But for now, it's on with the show. Today we're going to learn about azaleas. I'm not 100% sure I've ever seen an azalea in person. I just really like the word, and as mentioned, I love growing things. So, funny story. The first time I was ever aware of the word azalea was in the novel Entwined by Heather Dixon. It's a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, with each of the girls being named after a different plant in alphabetical order, so like azalea, bramble, clover, delphinium, and so on. Funny enough, I only read the word azalea, but I hadn't heard it said out loud. Then, a few years later, when I was working at a publishing company, my boss mentioned that I should add some pictures of azaleas in the book I was designing, since they were the author's wife's favorite flower, and it was a book about their lives. I was like, cool, can you spell that? And suddenly, for the first time, I knew how to say the lead character's name in one of my favorite books. So what are azaleas? They are a flowering shrub that blooms in the spring, and their flowers often last for several weeks. They make up two subgenres of rhododendron and are distinguished from true rhododendrons by having only 5 anthers per flower. Or for those like me who don't know what an anther is, it's the stamen or the pollen part of the flower. They are also native to Asia, Europe, and I believe possibly North America, but they also come in a rainbow of colors. Time for a history lesson. There was a specific type of azalea grown in the United States called Azalea indica, also known as the Southern Indicas, and they were only grown in greenhouses in Philadelphia. Which is why I'm questioning what if they were actually native to North America or if they have just grown well in North America. In the 1830s, the owner of the rice plantation Magnolia on the Ashley in Charleston, South Carolina, imported the plants for use in his estate garden. And then after the American Civil War, these gardens were then opened to the public in 1871. Magnolia on the Ashley is one of the oldest public gardens in America, and to this day, every year, thousands of people visit to see the azaleas bloom, which would be in late March and early April. Now for the fun part, the language of flowers. Since azaleas are native to both Asia and Europe, there are some different interpretations to what they symbolize. In China, azalea is known as the thinking of home bush, often symbolizing womanhood, thoughtfulness, and home. The flower can also symbolize remembrance of home and wanting to return home someday. Often associated with family, familial duty, wealth, elegance, abundance, feminine beauty, and developing passion. The symbolism is a little different in the Victorian language of flowers, known as, and we're going to try to say this, florography. Florography? Something like that. It is the language used to send silent messages and express feelings that often weren't spoken aloud. Since azalea was believed to be a low-maintenance addition to a garden, it was said to symbolize temperance and prudence. I don't know what those mean either, so let's break it down a bit. From what I can tell, temperance means having the quality of moderation and self-restraint. This could mean socially, like you are very thoughtful and controlled in your actions and good at managing your emotions, or even more physically, like eating and drinking in moderation. And occasionally, an azalea would be worn to show support of the prohibition of alcohol. Funny enough, they were also sometimes used to discourage affection. The other meaning would be prudence, which means having the ability to govern and discipline oneself by use of reason. Basically, you don't take unnecessary risks and don't do things you might regret later, and you take into consideration the long-term consequences of your actions. Both of these virtues were highly coveted at the time, Showing too much passion and being too spontaneous weren't exactly the goal when trying to find a husband back in the day. I know Pride and Prejudice was at exactly the same time, but characters like Mary or Jane, who are very thoughtful, very kind, probably even quiet would fall in there, would be seen as having temperance and prudence, whereas Kitty and Lydia, who are very spontaneous and loud and outgoing, would be very much the opposite. So, when given a bouquet of azaleas, it could be seen as a positive thing. Saying something like, "I think you show self-restraint and forethought, and that is something I admire about you." Or it could be more negative, when you want someone to reconsider their feelings. Pretty much saying, "I need you to show restraint and back off." The color may help distinguish the meaning, with white giving a sense of purity and restraint, so this would probably be the back off bouquet. Red or dark pink would be more passion and romance, so maybe a little more flirty. "I'm trying to show restraint, but I care deeply for you." And purple and pink are more playful and less intense or personal. And finally, yellow is more focused on family and friendship, so maybe a reminder to take care of yourself. Am I the only one who loves the idea of being sassy with flowers? Like giving someone a beautiful bouquet, but the whole thing basically says, "I kind of hate you, but here are some flowers." So a more modern take, perhaps, would be combining the Chinese and the Victorian meanings. Giving someone a bouquet containing azaleas would say something like, "Take care of yourself and those around you, and never forget where you came from. Be mindful and cautious in your actions and emotions, and you will be successful." Alternatively, it is said that if you give someone azaleas in a black vase, it was a well-known threat. Not just discouraging affection, but basically saying, "I don't want you on this planet anymore." This may have less to do with the meaning of flowers and more to do with the fact that azaleas and rhododendrons are infamous for their toxicity. Fun facts. As I said, azaleas are known to be toxic to not just people, but also animals, although a large amount is usually required to cause any real harm. If you have one in your garden, just keep an eye on children and pets. They might feel a bit queasy if they start munching on the leaves and flowers, but otherwise they'll be fine. But bees. Those silly bees. They love flowers, even toxic ones, and azaleas are very bright and colorful and big. In some parts of the world, whether accidentally or on purpose, I read it both ways, the bees that feed on azaleas will produce what is known as mad honey, a mind-altering, sometimes believed to be medicinal, and occasionally fatal type of honey. The toxin can cause low blood pressure, low heart rate, as well as irregular heart rhythm. Most recently, from what I read, poisoning from rhododendron and azaleas occurred in Turkey, where the poisonous honey was accidentally produced by small-scale beekeepers. However, traders have been selling mad honey to Europe since the 1700s. It was often mixed into drinks to provide a bigger buzz than booze alone, and hallucinations were possible. Funny, since the flower was associated with temperance and abstaining from alcohol, but then there were these guys over here getting drunk off the honey. So what have we learned about azaleas? 1. They are kind of like rhododendrons, but not. But kind of are? 2. They are not edible. Do not use to make tea or use the honey. They are toxic to people and animals. Although, if they are grown in your garden, you're probably safe. 3. If you want to present someone a gift that says, "I don't like you," in a very harsh way, give them azaleas in a black vase. Even if they don't know, you know. But also, that's seriously mean. Maybe don't do that. And finally, 4. Put in a bouquet to celebrate the women in your life and remind someone to take care of themselves, or as a reminder to take care of yourself. We can all use a reminder like that sometimes. Just maybe in a colorful vase, and probably stick to pink, purple, or yellow. Thanks for stopping by and watching today's Flower Fun Facts. If you have a specific kind of flower you want to know more about, leave it in the comments below. Or if you have any fun facts about flowers yourself, leave them in the comments below too, and I'll see if I can work them into a future video. Please like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to be alerted to future videos, and have a sunny day.